Welcome back to our third installment on Lessons Learned, a Father's Day conversation. We've been talking with my father, Clifton Kimball, and my uncle, James Kimball, about so many of the lessons that they've learned. Last time, we talked a lot about how the structure of their family and their family dynamics and their faith all intertwined with their concept of togetherness and thinking about how they developed as a man and the characters of men, which then in turn moved into their character as fathers and what they try to instill in their children. And today we'll go a little bit more into this faith concept, but also the practicalities as a learning about how to be a good provider for your family and learning what survival skills you need as we continue to grow and we continue to learn. So let's jump back into the lessons learned, a manual to men raising daughters conversation with Clifton Kimball and James Kimball.
Okay, so let me ask a different question. We talked a lot about how fatherhood and the lessons that you learned growing up from childhood on really incorporated things about making sure you provided for your family, the fellowship aspects you had in your family, faith being a part of your family. I wonder, and I've even noticed this for myself. I saw the values of that providing and making sure your family had was so important to you all. But then there was this shift that happened where you started incorporating more affection and education being important in the way you all do fatherhoods. And I could see that shift as you all got older. And I wonder what really stirred that shift for you all.
Well, for me, I think it would be um, somewhat of achievement. And I would grant you that perhaps in my household, the touchy-feeling kind of thing was not as prevalent back then as perhaps it is today. To me, it was a building block to make sure that the focus was making sure that the family was secure and that they were taken care of, to make sure that the family basic needs were adhered to. And unfortunately for me, I did not have or did not exercise the focus to do both, to take care of the basic needs and then also to delve into the emotional needs of my children. And if you talk to each one of them would have a different take on that. Jennifer would say that she was abandoned. Even I disagree with her, but I understand her position on it. Nakia would say that we show more favoritism to Danny than to her. Danny would say, oh, that's not true. The Nakia is the favorite one. So, but that's just, when they do that, I don't get drawn into a guilt trap. I understand that's the circle of kids' rivalry, that they're trying to pull a string and say, okay, do more for me. You didn't do more for me back then. Now you should. And I'm saying, BS, that's not going to happen. And my position is that, and I don't mean to be arrogant about it, but I want to be factual. That whether I was a good dad, bad dad, or indifferent dad, you are an adult now. And you, as an adult, can make your own decisions. If you saw where I had some flaws, because you are an adult now, don't make the same flaws that you believe that I made.
Did you have any thoughts on that, Dad?
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you look at the way I look at the kids, my kids, I try to talk to them on their level, and my communication, I guess, is bad. Sometimes I don't reach that goal, but I I don't. I try to look at it from their perspective, what they're thinking, how they feel, uh, and as a father, sometimes I feel that I could have did better here or there. But when I look at it overall, I said, well, I nobody went hungry,
Mhm.
and I felt that I was there if when they really had had a time of need for me,
Mhm.
and I hope that they could see that and feel that, and that's my thoughts on it.
So, I'd like to add one other comment about that.
Mm,
Recognizing that, and I'm going to use the term shortcoming, which would be appropriate, that I had shortcomings in the way that I raised my kids. And for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 years, or whatever X is, I've tried to address those shortcomings. What I did, we had up until the pandemic hit, we had family vacations where
Mhm.
um, um, a location destination would be selected. The first time it was Pam and I, we selected the destination. Then we passed it on to the kids to select a destination. Uh, and that was our one opportunity to get everyone together at the same place at the same time. And, one of the things that, and I know, Cliff and Ann, you guys don't feel this because your kids are basically in the same geographical location.
mhm,
One of the regrets that I have in my path to success, one of my daughters is now she's in Florida. My son is in Florida. My other daughter, she's in Virginia. So a simple thing like Mother's Day, and Pam and I, we go out to dinner. We used to prior to the pandemic, uh, go out to have a Mother's Day dinner or brunch or whatever they call it. And it's amazing and disheartening as well to see the families there with their kids, their grandkids sitting around the table. And at our table, it's just Pam and I because it's not possible because of where our kids, where they live. So that is one of the regrets. But the annual family vacations, that was our attempt to bring everyone together, to give everyone an opportunity to know, hey, that you have a uncle or aunt, and some of them didn't realize that they had an uncle or aunt because for whatever reason it wasn't talked about, or the grandkids didn't remember that they had an auntie Nikia or Sherry or Uncle Danny. They didn't know that. So that became very, very important to me. And also the other thing that is important to me, to both Pam and I, we um, where we thought we did a good job of teaching our kids how to manage money. Well, we found out that we were short on that. So
Mhm.
in today's environment, and this is done because Nakia, many, many years ago, she said, we were talking about she had gotten some credit cards She didn't ask us before she got the credit cards, but after she got the credit cards and had a problem, well, you guys you didn't teach me about that. Well, did I know that you were going to get a credit card that you shouldn't have gotten? You know? So you always have to be careful and mindful and be respectful about your kids shifting the blame, because they will do that, right? We know that, right? We know that, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, you can't do things because someone wants to make you feel guilty. But because of that, Danny, before he made a financial decision, he would ask, Mom, Dad, what do you think? So today we don't assume that they're going to ask the question. What we do now, every month, what we require all three of them to do is to submit. They created a budget. Now tell me how you've done with your budget. Not only tell me, show me the numbers. How have you done with your budget? Are you meeting your budget? Are you spending within your means? And so our first lady, Nancy Reagan, used to say, oh no, it wasn't Nancy Reagan said, it was Ronald Reagan, the president at the time, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm.
Show me your bank. Show me your bank statement. Show me your credit card statement. Show me this. You know, you provide supporting documentation to your summary.
Right.
And so every month they have to have their documentation into us by the 10th of the month. And then we set up a meeting, Zoom meeting like we're doing today, and we cover those.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes one will fall short. Now here's the James side of me. The James side of me, if you didn't do a good job, don't think that I'm gonna praise you, but just so that I can lap praises on you, because that's what you deserve. If you haven't done what you're supposed to do, you're gonna see the other side of the James, and some other side of the James is not pleasant. So we've gone through that for the last year and a half.
Thank you again for joining us for today's installment on our conversation with Clifton and James Kimball. As we learn more about how to raise daughters and how to raise children and families, and what is the character of a person that's going to be successful in today's world. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Next time, we'll get more advice and how we should think about being girl dads, having good relationships with our daughters, as well as some practical advice for how to maneuver in this new post-pandemic world. Thanks again for joining us, and tune in next time.